There is nothing like hunting a new property. And this week I'm in Central Texas hunting with friend Dale Storch of S&D Whitetails. You don't want to miss this.
To the left of that post oak, do you see that chocolate or white buck?
McWhorter Custom Rifles presents
This week's episode, I'm hunting with longtime outfitter Dale Storch of S&D Whitetails. Now Dale's known for having great big whitetails. I've hunted with him before and he's never disappointed me. Let's see how this hunt unfolds.
Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, Macmillan Fiberglass Stocks, Swarovski Optique, and Barber Creek Shooting Academy.
A short drive from home is always welcome. In no time, I was pulling into deer camp. Mr. Storch.
Mr. Lamar Smith, how you doing, my friend?
How are you, man?
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Good to see you. Well, we're S&D Whitetails. We started about 20 years ago. We started this business because of our son, John Boy. He had a handicap problem there, and my wife needed a deal where she could maybe stay home and we could, take care of him a little better. And we started out with 4 little hunters, and I think now sometimes we run 100 deer hunters a year, average of 60. Our terrain basically here is rolling plains, post oak timber. Of course, Mason down there is in the heart of Texas in the hill country. Elevation changes, just gorgeous ranch, small canyons, great terrain. We are for whitetail, fallow, axis, scimitar oryx, black buck. Also with our hunts, you book the right time of year, October, we can also run dove hunts. Multiple species, always got hogs. So if you get bored during the day, we can do some of that, and we do also offer varmint hunting.
As customary, before every hunt, it was time to hit the range with my new McWhorter 260 Remington. Love that gun. We're here with Dale Storch in Central Texas, and it's the first afternoon, so we're going to make sure the McWhorter shoots. It's a 260 Remington. It's got a Brooks barrel, a board action topped with a Z5 Swarovski. It's shooting Berger bullets, the 140 Hunter Elite, and so far this is my second hunt with it, and every time it is a tack driver. So hopefully it still is today. I do believe the 260 is still grouping, so we're gonna go to the blind with a lot of confidence in that McWhorter 260. Dale had some other hunters in camp on this hunt. One of them was a fine young man named Hunter, and that first afternoon on the range I was able to give him some pointers on proper shooting form. Never gets old. Going on these hunts with these outfitters, and your first hunt's usually the best and the most anticipated because you haven't seen anything yet and you're curious of what's going to be there. So first afternoon, let's see if we can get this done early and we'll relax a little. got settled in here to the blind. About 4 o'clock. I'm gonna sit here till dark and try to see if we can't get it done early. Got a great day. The weather came in last night. The wind's already switched, but not cold by any means, but very comfortable. So the hill country, the central Texas, the deer move rut a little earlier. So they're closer to rut. So weather kicks them off sometime. We're hoping it does this afternoon. No luck on the first sit, but there was high hopes for the rest of the weekend. To top off a great day in the heart of Texas, we had Rudy's barbecue waiting back at camp for everyone to enjoy.
This segment of Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Revolution Safe Company, inspired by Pendleton, rotating gun management made simple.
Day 2, and we were back at the same blind from the evening before. We had a good feeling about this morning's hunt. Not long after daylight, out walked a big frame buck. I got excited for a minute. That deer's tempting, but he's just a little young. But it was pretty obvious. This guy was too young and had way too much potential. Boy, he's going to be pretty. He's already about 21, 22 inches. Moments later, out walked a breathtaker. He was only 4, which is way too young by Texas management standards, but impressive to see nonetheless. The day started to heat up and deer movement came to a halt. Seeing 2 great up-and-coming bucks in the first morning made it well worth the effort, though. Gotta love hunting October. Hot, windy, it was cold, but it can still happen. Can't shoot them in here, so we're going to blind. It's a hot afternoon in the hot box blind here. S&D Whitetails. It turned off a little hot and windy this afternoon, so it's going to be right before dark before anything happens here, I think. The evening to day 2 was slow and warm, but that's a risk you take when you hunt in early season. One of the things you never get tired of is the early morning ruckus around trying to get everybody ready, all the trucks lined up, idling. It's just part of it that always happens, and it's just the anticipation makes it good. So day 3, let's see if we can get this done. morning of day 3 only produced a few does and fawns. Dale and I decided a change was in order for the afternoon hunt. Y'all remember the young man hunter from the rifle range at the beginning of the hunt? Well, he and his dad were hunting a blind not too far away, and as luck would have it, outwalked a buck of everyone's lifetime, not just his.
Dead deer. Woo, this young man just shot the deer of his life. Way to go, Hunter.
Congratulations, Hunter. That was an incredible whitetail and a perfect shot at that.
Precision Hunting TV is also brought to you by Extreme Wildlife Adventures, Hoff Power Auto and Outdoor Stores, Surge Pro by Biofac Crop Care, and Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue.
Hey, James here with Barber Creek Long Range Shooting School. We're going to talk about first and second focal plane. A lot of different scopes on the market nowadays, but bottom line is first and second focal plane is what we use for the reticles, and there's a difference, and you got to understand the difference. First focal plane was what the military used and a lot of PRS guys use because they don't have to remember what power setting they're on for the stadia lines to equal a measurement. So for some folks it's easier. Doesn't mean it's better, it's just easier. Second focal plane is probably what 80% of the scopes out there are nowadays, and what we most of us that are over 50, like myself and Alan, not Keith, he's still young, but we grew up on second focal plane. Second focal plane is designed to be used at a manufacturer specified power setting or maximum power for each stadia line or hash mark to equal 1 minute, for instance. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like. First, I'm going to run a second focal plane scope. I'm going to get on our bear out there at 925 yards, and what I'll do is as I zoom out from the bear, you can actually see that the target shrinks, but the reticle never changes size. And when I zoom back in, again, the target grows, but the reticle never changes size. With the second focal plane, if you don't take that into account, you're going to make a bad wind call because it's designed to be used on full magnification. So each hash mark equals 1 minute, and you're supposed to be at full magnification for each hash mark to equal 1 minute, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a first focal plane scope and show you what it looks like. All right. All right, thanks, sir. Same thing, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in at full magnification on the bear. And as I zoom down, you'll notice that not only does the animal shrink and grow, but the reticle shrinks and grows at the same time. Most manufacturers with a second focal plane scope are going to give you either a letter or a dot. Something's going to tell you in that scope what the power setting is supposed to be at. Now, again, most of them are going to go ahead and say, bring it up to maximum magnification, and that's what it's supposed to be at, again, for each stadia line to equal what it's supposed to. There can be a difference between manufacturers. A lot of my long-range target shooters and a lot of guys that hunt prairie dogs and small targets, Keith and I and Alan like to shoot golf balls and clay pigeons at 1,000 yards because we're like that. But a first focal plane on some manufacturer scopes will be so thick, the lines, that it covers those small objects. So second focal plane is going to be a little bit better for those folks that like to shoot small objects at long range. Now, that's not all manufacturers because, again, some of the other ones like Night Force and Swarovski, now Swarovski's got second focal, but the Night Force has a first focal. Their new NX8s have a really thin line, the crosshair, so they don't really cover the small targets like some of the older models did. So keep that in mind when you're shopping around for a first, second focal plane. One's not better than the other. Just understand what you're getting and how to use it. So again, just to recap, first focal, target, reticle, shrink and grow at the same time. Doesn't matter power setting for the stadia lines to equal what they're supposed to. Second focal, The crosshairs never change, but the animal shrinks and grows with the power or the zoom setting. It does matter what magnification you're on when you're holding for wind, or if you're using a holdover reticle like a bullet drop compensating reticle. Hey, that's another downrange shooting tip from James at Barber Creek. Thanks for joining us.
This segment of Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Real Texas barbecue.
All right, we gave the first place the old hard try. Didn't quite work, so we changed ranches. Just hitting that one too hard, so we're gonna try something that hadn't had as much pressure. The afternoon of day 3 has us on a new property, and that always gets your hopes up. We had lots of deer movement. They were everywhere. There was young bucks and does all around us, and I felt like a shooter could walk out at any moment. We've had about a dozen doe in yearling. We've got our first 2 bucks. Still got an hour and 10 minutes left. We've got some action. Patiently waiting. I had a little cooler this morning. I'm back to my last day Lamar, evidently. A little cooler. We got a new ranch. We saw a lot of deer last night, so. Day 4 started great with deer movement right away. There were already a number of deer in front of us, and out walked a great-looking buck from the left.
Lamar, to the left of that post oak, do you see that chocolate horn white buck?
It's pretty. He's mature, isn't he?
Yeah, he's mature. I'm thinking high 60, 170.
That was all I needed to hear, and the 260 was quickly out the window. Now it was a waiting game until he presented a shot. That is a great deer. Well worth the wait. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what we can do now is we can go down there, and after 4 days of doing this, we can go get our hands on it. I'll tell you what, guys, S&D Whitetails got it going on. He's got different terrain, different country, and every one of them are just chock full of deer. And Dale will work his tail off. Becky will cook her tail off. John Boy will help any way he can. He's got great guides and great places to hunt. So y'all come down and see S&D Whitetails. You will not regret this because I personally recommend it. Man, what a deer.
Yeah, he's wide, pretty.
Wide, pretty, typical. We got everything we want in a South Texas buck right here. And mature, little character with some extras, but not too much to make him gaudy. What a great deer. He's gonna look great on the wall, man.
Kind of gave us a slip there a little bit.
Well, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Came in and,
After 4 days, the guide got a little nervous.
well, with our reputation this week.
Yeah, last day Lamar.
Yeah,
Last day Lamar.
well, it's kind of ended up that way, but we were going to give it another afternoon if we had to, and maybe another morning, but now we don't have to. Great deer. Good. Oh, look, I love those G4s. Long G4s just really make it worth it. 2s are a little short, but that's typical sometimes, but man, those 3s and 4s are going to make him score good. So, what a great place. S&D Whitetails, guys. He's got all kind of terrain, different ranches, all the kind of hunting you want, from monster deer to management bucks and dove hunts. And he's got it going on. His wife does an excellent job in camp and cooking. John Boy helps a lot. He's great to have around and be around in camp. They treat you like family. Whether you're old or a new customer, you feel like family when you're here. So check out S&D Whitetails, and this guy will bust his butt for you and get you a big old buck just like this. This is great. Thanks, friend.
Well, Lamar, you're welcome anytime.
All
sir.
right, thank you. I'm looking forward to coming back.